Shaking my Tim Tams. Exclamation mark live. This is live. This is live. This is live, but this is a replay cast. Tis a replay cast. For those wondering, the GSL qualifiers haven't been broadcasted live in many, many years, but the replays were provided to us. So even though no one was able to cast the qualifiers live, we're doing our best to bring you those qualifying matches just before or just as the season of GSL is starting. So yeah, I mean, a lot of good matches were had, and we want to broadcast them to the world, to you guys. Here we go. Spawning in the top left-hand corner of Babylon, we have the South Korean Terran player representing on Side Gaming. It's the Tuna Terran. It is Ryung. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Babylon, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Zerg player representing Guangdong Freaks. It is soO. Just did have a hard time against Classic, but again, Classic is the second best Protoss player in all of South Korea right now, so you know, if there's anyone that can bring you down, it would be Classic. I do think that this next matchup is a little bit more comparable. I do think that both Ryung and soO are much more closer in skill compared to Ryung versus Dark or soO versus Classic, for example. So yeah, this should be quite a competitive matchup, and I'd be pleasantly surprised. Or not pleasantly surprised. I'd be very happy to see this even go to the ace match if possible. But we'll see. We'll see how this does turn out. Oh. As both players can excel quite well in this matchup. Ryung, we have seen him go toe-to-toe with Dark before and even bring him down at times. But it's always one of those things where it's kind of like that Nightmare factor. When we were casting Nightmare, I was talking about how Nightmare, he has some really solid peaks where he can go toe-to-toe with the best players in the world. He's just not consistent. And the same can be said here for Ryung, where it's maybe a little bit worse for Ryung. Like Nightmare, it's like once every couple of weeks. For Ryung, it's like once every 2 months. But mate, when he pops off, boy does he pop off, alright? It's it's wild, Poppy, it's wild. So we'll see if this is going to be one of those days. And Ryung, a really old school player, returning from the military. Likewise, so is soO. Both kind of had their eras of success, of dominance in StarCraft already. We'll see if they can kind of bring that back here this year in 2023. Already the first Reaper is going to be dancing with these Lings across the map. One Ling already does go down. Good pickoff so far from Ryung. Behind this, we have a 1-1-1 opener. We actually haven't seen that yet today. Earlier, we were of course casting Gumiho versus Solar, and even this morning we were casting Dark versus Byun, and Cure as well. Cure last night, and yeah, over the past 48 hours, even though we've been casting a lot of StarCraft, even though we've been casting a lot of ZVTs, it's the first time we've seen a 1-1-1 these past 2 days. I appreciate it. It's a little more old school. So with this, the economy is going to be a little bit delayed for Ryung. There's going to be a lot more pressure on him to do some economic damage or some early game damage. And my god, he's actually going for a Cyclone first as well as a Medevac. He's going for a very early drop here. He's going to be active on the map. With these Marines and with this Cyclone, he's most likely going to be looking to hunt down these Overlords and maybe get some Queens. So a very cheeky maneuver here from Ryung. Not an opener you see too often. It's very like Gumiho-esque, to be honest. I think Ryung is good friends with Gumiho, to be fair. Here we go. Marines and Cyclone are moving out across the map, looking to hunt down whatever they can, and there are a couple of Overlords that are looking a little bit exposed. So a lot of potential here for Ryung. As soO is just getting his third base up and running. Getting Hatch Gas Pool opener, nothing too crazy. Third base on the way. And we only have 3 Lings. We don't have that many Lings, so yeah, we're going to get quite a bit of damage done. The first Overlord is going to be hunted down. I love that we're actually hiding that Cyclone. There was no need to reveal it too early, so yeah, he's going to be dropping into the main base. The Queens have arrived. The Cyclone is here. Can we get a lock on? The answer is yes, but Queen does pull back in time, and ooh, we lose a Marine. I appreciate the mind games from Ryung. It was really cute. Just wasn't enough to get too much else done. As he does once again threaten that base. Meanwhile, soO going for his lair as we speak, taking his gases. Should be eventually working towards his Bailey nest. As the Cyclone doesn't get the drone either. So there was a lot of potential with this, but doesn't quite get a lot of damage done. The drop is keeping a lot of Queens busy here in the main, and the Hellions dive in towards the third, but there are 4 Queens waiting for them. They don't care, though. They get into the mineral line. Up! Oh, Evo Wall was not thrown down in time, and quite a lot of the drones do go down. 5 drones in total. Hellions are going to be hunted down. Should be able to escape. And this is Mech. God damn it. We have our third CC on the way from Ryung. He throws down 2 armories and 2 more factories. I mentioned it at the start of this series about how, like, you know, Ryung, he does dabble in Mech from time to time. It's probably going to happen at least once in this series. I'm hoping that only once, but we'll see. As Mech is on the horizon. Meanwhile, soO, with that fast lair, actually opted not to go for a Bailey Nest. He's going for double Evo Chambers, he's going for a Roach War, and he's going for 1-1 Roaches. Against Mech, this will do quite well. And I wonder how familiar soO is with Ryung, because Roaches are going to work wonderfully here against what Ryung is doing. Roach Ravager is typically what you want here against almost any form of Mech. I do know that specifically against Battle Mech, Ling Hydra Viper can do better. Can work quite well, specifically against a Battle Mech with Banshees. But that's not what we're seeing. Do have the Raven cranked out as well. Gonna be trying to vie for that map control, clean up whatever creep we can. Aliens in production. More factories being thrown down, and soO gets confirmation as well. He dives into the main and sees all the factories on the way. He's aware of what is going on. And as he dances with these initial Hellions, we have our 4th base being taken. We're still heavily relying on, or still waiting for our upgrades to really kick in before we can be too aggressive. And it's very important here for soO to shut down a lot of these rocks, to make sure that he has as much room to work with here on creep. Specifically for surrounds. Like, surrounds are going to be so important for him for these big engagements. As the Hellions are dancing with these Queens, we do get a lock on one of them, but alas, it's not enough to really break on through. I love that soO, he's not really too concerned with the Hellions. He focuses on those rocks instead. But we get a drop into the main, and oh my god, once again, the drones! They almost do line up. This is still a lot of lost mining time. Meanwhile, soO doesn't turn around. He wants to keep on pushing. CC is going to be delayed. We do have a couple of Cyclones, but there are no tanks. We do force a cancel on the 4th base. Anti-armor missile as well. There's a very strong timing here for soO with 1-1. As 1-1 is about to kick in. Without any tanks, there's no way for Ryung to hold on. Tanks do finally come out to hold on to the natural, but what about the 3rd? The 3rd is completely exposed. Every single SV is going to be going down. 2 of them get saved by that medevac, but only 2. And we even pile down another one of those tanks. We may be overextending a little bit, but we're barely breaking on through into the natural, and we're getting on top of the tanks. soO did have enough. Tanks are coming out, but it's a little bit too little too late. soO has snowballed out of control. And even if we hold on to the natural base, even if we force soO back, we've already done more than enough damage. Ryung is down to 38 SCVs. soO's on a 4-base economy behind this. He's taking all of his gases. The Roaches are forced back. We've got 2-2 on the horizon. We can take a 5th base, even a macro hatch. Hive on the way. soO has so much freedom, so much map control. Yeah, that's the downside of going for like kind of Ferrari mech or battle mech initially, is without tanks, these Roaches can hit quite hard. And again, it was very lucky or wise of soO to tech into those Roaches as quickly as he did. I was mentioning earlier, I wonder if soO is just familiar with like Ryung's playstyle, and off of that Hellion drop, that Cyclone drop, I wonder if it's very common for Ryung to transition into mech. Because soO had the Roach Run on the way before he even scattered the main. Wonder. As the Banshee's, you know, doing what it can against these Roaches. I love the Spire, by the way. Like, Ryung, he's scrambling here to make tanks. He's scrambling to defend it, to saturate or to even establish these 3 bases, the last thing he's going to have in his mind is Thor production. That's the last thing he's going to be thinking of. Oh, it's Heart of the Swarm. As we do have a couple of Hellbat drops here towards the top right. Yeah, getting a couple of drones. Not going to lie. Not bad. It's something. Aye. But last mutas will just shut everything down. Nothing shoots up. Do we have any cyclones? We have 4 cyclones. Okay. I love. We even have a couple of Hellbats in those medevacs as well, just for those drops. Let's go. As Ryung is pushing through the center of the map with everything he has. Again, he's pretty all in. He has a comparable army, a very formidable army actually. Just doesn't have the economy to sustain this. So one push. If Ryung loses another fight, if he loses these tanks, he won't be able to rebuild. He can still win a fight though, to be fair. This still has to be taken very seriously. Desperate Terran is a scary Terran. As the tanks are laying siege upon the 5th base. Not the most important bases, there's no mining here at all. But it is kind of the entryway into the natural. But that tank spread is insane. Without Vipers, it's going to be difficult to engage. As we poke on in, take down a tank. 2 Vipers have arrived and they have topped up on energy. Oh, Vikings as well, looking to zone them out. And here we go. soO's coming in from 2 angles, coming in from behind, coming in from the front. We get a disable on one of those Vipers, but the blinding clouds are insane. Oh, there's still so many tanks behind this. It looks like Ryung is barely breaking on through, but the vials do connect. We are down to 3 tanks. And soO can just remax. He can just rebuild. Even though that wasn't the worst fight for Ryung, that's all he had. He's just trickling in a couple units like here and there across the map, even a couple of SCVs. We mule to repair. Do we even have the minerals to repair? I don't think we do. Not like this. As once again the blinding clouds do cover those 2 tanks and GG gets called. soO takes game number 1. GG. Again, reading Ryung quite well. Ryung had a really interesting opener as well. If you recall, it was a 1-1-1 into a Cyclone drop. I was excited to see how many Overlords he would get killed. If you remember, he killed 1 Overlord, and then he kept trying to dive into the main base and was having a really hard time finding too much damage from there. The Hellion run-bys were a little bit more successful. To be fair, they did quite a lot for Ryung. But soO was so ready for the mech. My god, he was just so ready to hit his 1-1 roach timing, and he hit it so well. It's very soO. Very old school. And yeah, he hit just before Ryung had those tanks. If you remember, the tanks that were actually just coming out of the production, they were just coming out of the natural as those roaches were hitting. If they were established at the 3rd base, if they were actually set up in time, then, you know, it would have been a very different game. Or it could have been a very different game. If only Ryung had a couple more seconds. But here we go. We're getting into game number 2, and spawning in the top left-hand corner of Gressfile, we have the South Korean Terran player representing On-Site Gaming. Currently down in this series, 1 game away from being eliminated from the GSL qualifiers. It is Ryung. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Zerg player representing the Kwangdong Freaks. It is soO. Leading this series 1-0, 1 game away from qualifying for this season of GSL, which would be really great to see, to be honest. Oh my god. As soO is going for a gas first opener. This is very aggressive out of soO. This is very unorthodox as well. I feel like soO, he's known for his macro. He's known for, he has a bit of an old school reputation of like maxing out on roaches, for example. To go for a gas first opener like this is wild. So this could be for a couple of different things. This could be for a roach rush. With all this gas, we can rush into roaches, of course. This could be for a Ling Flood. This could be for a Bane Bust as well. Very curious to see what this gas is going to be spent on. Bane busts have fallen out of fashion in ZVT. They aren't really too common at all. When was the last time I saw a Bane bust? I think the last time I saw a Bane bust was Dark when he was trying to punish Beyond's 2-Rax opener. Like 2 months ago. So yeah, don't expect to be seeing that, but we'll see as the gas can is looking to get higher. Of course, with this SCV scout, Ryung is going to confirm at least the pool first. He confirms that the hatchery has been heavily delayed, and it should be diving into the main. Lings have arrived, and they're going to be zoning away this SCV. Ling speed is started, and we don't pull out of gas. Bear that in mind. We have not pulled out. So soO has something else in store for us. For the time being, the Lings are actually going to stay at home. They don't sneak out across that. Usually with the pool first opener, your Lings move out so you can delay the CC on the low ground, but no, they stay at home instead. I'm really curious as to, yeah, what the follow-up is for soO. You have a lot of gas to work with. We could be waiting to deal with this Reaper, or at least for a couple more Queens to come out. Are we feeling a fast lair? Maybe. I think my money's on a fast lair, but we'll see. Just because, again, we have a lot of gas. Lings are moving out. It looks like a third base is soon about to be taken for soO. And yeah, okay. Ling speed is going to be kicking in. With Ling speed, we can move out across the map. We can maybe punish the low ground and get a couple of SCVs. Behind this, Ryung did go for a 3cc opener, so very economic. And yeah, soO's not really doing much with this. Okay, that's really odd. The only other thing I can think of is that even then, like, a gas burst does hard counter cheese, so maybe he was expecting a proxy. Maybe he was expecting proxy Raxes. But yeah, that's just such a weird way to open up. It's such a risk, right? Like, soO must have been really, really confident that Ryung would either proxy or avoid his SCV scout, like skip his SCV scout. I think maybe that would be the other kind of good situation for him. As behind this, Ryung, he's just playing standard. You know, 3cc into Cloak Banshee. Nothing crazy at all here. As standard can be. And as a result, soO, his third base is delayed. His droning has been interrupted as well because of the opener. Like, soO has, in a way, kind of put himself behind off of those openers. He does have a Roach Warren on the way, though. So once again, he's going to be playing with those Roaches. Taking additional gases as we speak, resaturating here in the main. Oh, and Ryung is going to scout this. The Reaper dives in, sees the gases, sees the Roach Warren, and will also dive into the main base just to make sure that there's no fast lair either. So it's very important scout here from Ryung. Meanwhile, the Lings are out of position. The Hellions once again dive into the natural. Oh boy. Drones are getting roasted as we speak. 8 drones go down. 9 workers in total for 4 Hellions and a Reaper. Very good damage done here by Ryung. And soO, this is looking pretty committed. I don't want to say all in because soO is droning. But yeah, these Roaches, they got a lot of work to do. Back at home, it's mech again. God damn it. It is meching, but a different variation, to be fair. We opened up Cloak Banshee. The Banshees completely shut down any kind of early Roach push. They do not shoot up. On top of that, we're committing here to the Banshee play as we have Hyperflight Rotors on the way. That is Banshee speed. And this is a mech style that I can get behind. This is basically battle mech, but with a twist, featuring Banshees. This is something that has been quite popular this year, ever since the buff to Banshees. We have been seeing it pop in every now and then. Clem likes to play around with this, Maro as well. They mix it in like in a best of 5, like 1 game in a best of 5. Clem maybe 2 games. Like, like I've seen Clem play mech quite a bit recently. Okay, he's scarred me. He's scarred me. Yeah, with this, we're going to be dancing between the bases. We have full map control. Behind this, Ryung is able to take his third base. Got his production up and running. We have 2 armories on the way, a couple more factories as well. Like, last game, Ryung had a really hard time getting into mech, of course, but this game, like, he has so much map control. He has so much freedom. He's ahead economically because of the early game. He's going to have a much easier time establishing these bases and, yeah, getting into the mid game. Oh boy. Meanwhile, soO is still trying to recover. We're just now getting our Evo chambers up and running. Because we focused on all these roaches earlier on, this did slow down all of our tech. Because of that, soO is still only on 3 bases. Still on 0-0. Infestation pit is on the way, and this is a good way to help catch up, but oh, the Banshees have arrived. Oh, that's a kill, not a cancel. Oh, 300 minerals down the drain for soO. And he's still stuck on 3 bases. The power of the Mass Banshee. It's something. Ay, ay, ay. Have another base being taken. This time the queens are going to be in position, so they're going to be able to dance with these banshees at least. As they do pull back. Thank God. As they do stick around. Meanwhile, Ryung, as soO takes his 4th, Ryung he takes his own. It just goes to show how far ahead he is. As a mech player, this is terrifying. A mech player that's ahead in TvZ is... hey, it's a light ladder game. That's what that is. As we're getting into this, so far none of the banshees have gone down yet. So we're going to be dancing between the bases, going to be threatening, just keeping soO busy back at home while he works towards a Spire. I'm not too fond of the Spire tech. Did Ryung see this, by the way? He hasn't scouted the Spire, but after containing his opponents, Ryung is already working on Thors. Mutas, Corruptors are not going to be the answer here. Especially because we've stopped Banshee production. Like, we're done. Like, the way that this works is you only make a handful of Banshees initially for map control to zone away the army, to give you breathing room to get into your actual mech force. Like, the Banshees are merely a stepping stone. So I hope soO doesn't overinvest into his sky units, into his air units. The Banshees again have done a great job of just pinning soO back. The 4th base has gotten up. It's still getting saturated. 5th base is on the way as well. But here we go. Ryung is pushing out across the map. It's a lot of Hellions, a lot of Hellbats. Biles will be connecting on some of these Hellbats, to be fair. And we don't have that many tanks either. This feels a little bit premature from Ryung. We're pushing out with only 4 of these tanks. To be fair, because of the positioning, he can threaten this center base. He can even siege tanks in range as well. So even if this push is designed just to deny that 5th, it's pretty worth it here for Ryung. As he is moving in range. Behind this, he's just reinforcing as we speak. That 5th base, yeah, is under threat. There's no way for it to finish up. soO is getting ready for potentially a surround or even a counterattack. Hatchery is barely cancelled. Oh, we do catch a Thor. Very solid pickoff, and this does force Ryung to turn back around. That exposes the tanks. Oh, 1 or 2 tanks go down. soO making the best out of a bad situation. Taking down Thors, taking down tanks. Pulling apart the attention of Ryung. These are the moves he needs to go for. Another 2 tanks go down. And yeah, Ryung, he backs up. He gives soO the breathing room he needs. I still don't know how I feel about this center base. Because Ryung is still in the vicinity. This is an ambitious 5th, is what I will say. But we'll see if soO can hold on to it. We do see Ryung rotating around, making sure that another northern base hasn't been taken. The Hellions, they do get into the mineral line. At the same time, Banshee's looking to deny that 5th base once again. The Viper has arrived. Parasitic Bomb does connect. As the Hellbats distract the army, we do see Ryung just rotating over towards the south instead. Again, just making sure that there's no hatchery here. Making sure he is containing soO to these bases. The Hellbats are struggling a little bit. A lot of them do go down. Broodlords have arrived as we did rush into a greater spire. Broodlords can work well. Meanwhile, the Banshees, they come back. No, the center base is under threat. And once the Broodlords have revealed themselves, Ryung, he's getting the hell out of here. He wants none of that. Oh! And that center hatchery will go down. Unfortunately, soO, he didn't have the attention span he needed to get those transfuses off. Once again, the 5th is denied. Oh no. Oh, this is not good. Oh. And we may only have 3 Vikings, but they take down a Broodlord. They're going to get a second. The Powerbomb doing quite a lot. But these are losses that soO cannot afford. He's running out of gas, running out of steam. Solid biles on one of those tanks. But the Thor production is continuing. And there's not a lot to support these Broodlords. They're being focused down by the Thors. Well, solid transfuses are keeping them alive. Shout out to the Queens. But the Hellbats are getting on top of the Queens. The Thors continue to go ham on those Broodlords. And there are only 2 Broodlords left. Soon to be only 1. It looks like, oh god, soO barely holds on. Survives with 1 Broodlord. Behind this, Ryung, he's chilling. This entire time he's on 4 bases. He's got his own 5th up and running. Again, ahead economically. He did lose a lot of his army across the map, but I mean, his macro has been pretty solid. He is under no threat of a counterattack. Speaking of counterattacks, Hellion run by. Again, crippling the economy of soO. He is down to 60 drones. soO finally has a little bit of room to breathe, but he's got a lot that he needs to get done. Looking at the units tab, he still only has 1 Broodlord. Again, he just doesn't really have a good enough economy to rebuild the Broodlords that he lost. He's trying to. He's droning as we speak. He has a decent Roach Ravager army. He's looking to deny the 6th. Oh, that's a lot of Thors. Thors on their own, not ideal here against Roaches. They're going to get picked off one after the other. Good trades here for soO. At least initially. But the Ghosts have arrived. Thor Ghosts. The late game RB composition you want. Thor Ghost tank is kind of what you really want. There we go. Tank production now commencing. Ryung realizes he's got enough Thors. Now time to switch into tanks. And Ryung has max. At least, again, soO has had a little bit of time here to rebuild his army. And here we go. We have 5 more Broodlords on the way. Unfortunately, we don't have any Infestors. We only have 1 Viper. And what's really hurting soO is the creep. The lack of creep is really hurting him. Because of that, Ryung, he can kind of move around unimpeded. Like, he's not really going to be slowed down at all. He can position wherever he wants, and soO can't really contest against him, or it's so difficult to fight off of creep. Here we go. The army has been revealed. soO trying to reposition. Trying to find a better angle. But Ryung has arrived, and here we go. Blinding Clouds on some of these swords. Not too bad. The Roaches push on forward, but pushing into all these Ghosts. Oh my god, the snipes are real! Just like that. We're down to 2 Broodlords almost instantly. Did I say 2? I meant to say 0. As every Broodlord gets sniped. The Thors push on forward, and soO has nothing left. GG gets called. And Ryung takes game number 2, tying up the series 1-1. GG. We have a series, Poppy. We have a series. We're going to game 3. Let's go. Again, it was a really odd opener from soO, not gonna lie. It was really yeah, it was so weird to see him go for a gas opener like that and not really do anything with it. Again, because of that, I do have to... I think my rationale is at least that I think soO believed he was going to get cheesed. I think he thought he was going to get proxied. Yeah, otherwise, there's very little sense for him to open up in such a fashion. And as a result, he was kind of behind from the get-go. Did have quite a rough start. And it didn't help that Ryung was just in his face with all those Hellion run-bys. The Banshees were brutal as well. If you remember, like, for a good portion of that game, soO was fighting hard to get a 4th, to get a 5th. Oh. Again, a rough start for soO. But now, we're going to be able to shake that off and get into game number 3. I Esther Jade off in the chat. Met God Ryung. I can tell this game is triggering for light. No, I appreciate the Banshee style of mech. I appreciate it. Look, if we were making nothing but tanks, then I'd have something to say. It's fine. As spawning in the top right-hand corner of Royal Blood, we have the South Korean Terran player representing On-Side Gaming. The Tuna Terran himself. The meching Terran. It is Ryung. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Royal Blood, we have as opponent, we have the South Korean Zerg player representing the Kwangdong Freaks. It is soO. I wanna be forever young. True. That's the dream, Poppy, the dream. Forever young. Hi. Now the question becomes, Ryung, he's played mech in game 1, he played mech in game 2. Do we mix it up and play mech again in game 3? Oh no. Not like this. To be fair, again, Ryung has gone for different openers every game. He has been mixing it up. Even in playing mech, he's been going for different variations as well. I want to believe. Meanwhile, soO goes for a hatch gas pool. Standard economic opener this time. No crazy gas first or anything like that. No pool first either. You love to see it. Feels good, man. Feels good. Best Ryung ever was. To understand the Ryung that's inside. Oh god, are you gonna make a full parody song? Let's go. Let's go. Not like this. One of these days, I want to go karaoke with Asher. We've said it like when we met up IRL. Like we want it to happen. It's gonna be beautiful. I haven't gone karaoke in years, Bobby, in years. Oh. Let's just go karaoke. I'm gonna get sick again. God damn it. As soO is just going to be getting into this opener, just pull out of gas immediately, you know, being very crisp here with his 100 gas going into link speed, just getting his third base up and running as well. Oh, my mistake here, as that's a kill on the drone. Ryung, he had an SCV patrolling here at the triangular third, did delay the third of soO as a result, and the Reaper shows up just in time to snipe that drone. soO being contained to 2 bases. Oh, he gets the 2. Oh, no shot. He gets the tumor as well. Ryung, he's already won the mental victory. The mental is... losing that first tumor is so aggravating. As a Zerg player, it's so brutal. Oh my god. Not like this. Back at home, Ryung is going for a 3cc opener. Oh. Going into his 3cc, gonna be hiding his starport in the backline, actually. Interesting. Very interesting choice. As the Reaper dives back in, and Ryung, he has to make sure that he's not being 2-base all in. He dives into the main, he has to make sure that there was no roach horn, that there was no additional gases. As he rotates around and confirms that a third base is on the way, just delayed here for soO. And Ryung can breathe a sigh of relief. There's no fast lair, no fast roaches, no gases, just a late third. So overall, Ryung, he is ahead after this opener. He's in a really nice position. As he goes into his third CC before starport. And we do have Cloak Banshee on the way. Do we have any Overlords in position? We do not. So even though Ryung is trying his hardest to hide his build, soO isn't going to be scouting it anyway. He's just chilling at home. It's all good. So Overlord's only in position to scout any Hellion attack paths. Speaking of, the Hellions are rotating over towards the right-hand side, but the Queens are able to keep up. They should be here in position. And once again, every game so far, soO going for the Roaches. Roach Warren is thrown down, has worked wonders for soO in the past. Unfortunately, once again, just like that previous game, he's going Roaches into Banshees. So defensively, Ryung should be perfectly fine. If any kind of early Roach push were to come out from soO, it would be shut down just like we saw in that last game, in game 2. But soO isn't going for an early Roach push. We have a lair on the way this time, so he's taking up even further. The Roaches are merely a safety precaution to allow him to get into the mid game. He's focusing on his economy. We should soon be getting a 4th base, especially considering how delayed the 3rd was. 4th should be on the way soon, as it is mech. Look, I swear, I've seen Ryung play bio. We casted Ryung like last week. He's played bio before. He knows how to make the man with gun. Not today though, not today. It's all about the mech. Ryung, he wants to win, Bobby, he knows. As the Hellions do manage to slip on past those Queens. Oh my god, that one Queen on the ramp was a little bit out of position. The Evo Chamber gets thrown down on time. Both Evo Chambers get thrown down, and that will be walling off Ryung. That will be allowing these drones to escape. Very nice control there from soO. Very crisp, very tidy micro. These Hellions could have gotten out of control. Alas, they did not. Oh, the high ground! Ooh. They managed to get a couple of drones towards the end, but they will be cleaned up. Meanwhile, more drones are being caught out here, transferring. Oh. In total, 15 drones went down. Basically a mineral line, so pretty good damage. This could have been worse, though. This could have been so much worse. soO does barely hold on. And this is an interesting one. I'm curious. This is a very fast infestation pit. Off of 3 bases. Is this for a hive or is this for something else? So this could be, of course, for infestors. The boring answer would be infestors to help support the Roach Ravager, which would make a lot of sense. You know, you want to fungal and lock down the Hellions and the Cyclones, especially if it is battle mech. Otherwise, okay, here we go. It is going to be for a very fast hive. Hive on the way before we even have our 4th base. So what I was thinking of was swarm host. I was like, yo, are we gonna go old school against mech and go swarm host, Papi? I was getting excited. Alas, it's not going to be. It's going to be for the fast hive instead. Banshees have arrived, and so far this game they haven't done too much for themselves. They haven't done as much damage as the previous game, but they almost get a Queen to at least get a drone. Back at home, Roaches go for a bit of a counterattack, but they run into tank fire. We're able to at least delay that 4th base. Ryung already working on Thor production. Spire on the way. I'm curious, because we're so soO is so tech heavy right now. He's insanely tech heavy. I wonder if he actually wants to go straight into Broodlords, as we have another Hellion run by, and oh my god, so many drones are being roasted. We had 15 workers going down earlier, and now we are going up to 26. 11 more drones go down. Banshees still being active. Unfortunately, they're late to really react to this 4th base. It already gets up and running. The spores are already thrown down. This time, soO gets his 4th without too much troubles. Yep, and here we go. He's rushing into Broodlords. Greater Spires on the way. This is really risky, but I love it. It's risky because if Ryung was making Cyclones, I think he just wins. Like, what do you have to? We have 3 Roaches. This is the army. 3 Roaches and 2 Ravagers. This is all soO has. If Ryung was making a more mobile, like, mid-game mech army, and if he was being active with his Hellions and Cyclones, he would snowball and he would just straight up win the game. But he's not. He's taking this slow and steady. He's slowly taking a 4th base. He's working on tanks, working on Thors. You can see he's turtling on up here with sensor towers. He's giving soO the time that he needs to just basically cut workers. Like, look at the bank that soO has. soO has 2k minerals, about to be 3k minerals and 2k gas. He's purposely not spending his money waiting for Broodlords. And so far this has gone unscattered. Oh, there we go. Scans are thrown down. The hive is revealed. The Greater Spire that's basically done at this point is revealed as well. Ryung, the pressure is on him. It's either we push out now. Even if he does push out now, we can morph in Broodlords. I think it's too late. Here we go. soO now looking to spend his money. Show us the Broodlords, Pappy. There we go. Broodlords are on the way. He has gotten away with it. Ryung is pushing out, but at this point, it is too little too late. soO has gotten away with murder. And Ryung has to try to opt for a later game. Oh. Banshees do deny the 5th, to be fair. Banshees are containing soO here. They're making sure that the economy doesn't get out of control. Banshees, unfortunately, they can't shoot up. They do fly by those Broodlords, and at least they confirm the Broodlord count. These Banshees, they managed to get a couple of queens, get a couple of spines. Too bad. Again, they're like oracles. They're just keeping tabs on these Broodlords. We can be friends. We can live together in unison. We don't have to do this. We don't have to fight. As Ryung, his reaction is to go into Viking production, Thor production, and Ghost Academy. Now, unfortunately, this Ghost Academy is late. If you remember last game when Broodlords hit the field, Ryung had so much more time and so much more room to actually take into Ghosts. It's a late transition from Ryung. And soO's army is just so high quality already. The only thing we're missing is infestors. And actually, we're not opting for infestors. We're going for vipers instead. I mean, regardless, a spellcaster would be required. Hellions are going to get cleaned up. Whether it's infestors or vipers, they both have their role. They both have their place. Andals barely missed those Broodlords until now. Yeah, Ryung is trying to figure out where the army is because he doesn't know. He's actually pulling back to try to respond to wherever he needs to be, wherever he need be. There we go. The Broodlords are pushing forward. Thors have to be brought to the front lines. Tank, it does go down. How many Broodlords do we have? We are up to 13 Broodlords at this point. 13 Broodlords, 9 Roaches, a couple of Ravagers. Oh, we're in for a long one. Oh, we're not. We're turtling up, Pappy. We're throwing down a line of turrets. We got some CCs on the way. Strap yourselves in, people. Okay. Getting comfortable. The hood is up. We're smurging, Pappy. We're smurging. Let's go. I've assumed the position. As the Roach Ravager is going to be pushing on in. Again, we want to trade this out. These Roaches and Ravagers have kind of served their usefulness at this point. We want to refine our army a little bit more. And yeah, basically the map is being cut in half as we speak. Ryung working on his 6th base. Building up his ghost count, working on his upgrades. I don't really expect Ryung to move out anytime soon until he has a more robust ghost count. Otherwise, you know, he's not really going to be able to tango and go toe-to-toe, not just with these Broodlords, but also with the Vipers and the Infestors. Ghosts are so crucial, not just because of their snipes, but also the EMPs. Like, it's going to come down to whether Ryung can EMP fast enough to deny whether it's Neurals or Fungals or Lightning Clouds or Abducts. As a Ghosts are moving on forward here. These Broodlords are looking a little bit exposed. You have one snipe going off. One snipe for a Ghost, not ideal. But the Banshees do take down another hatchery. Meanwhile, a tank run... a tank run by is on the way. Because we don't need these tanks no more. Tanks don't shoot up. We don't need them. There's dead supply. They're a creep clearing squad at this point. Feels bad, man. Imagine, these are the old vets where in their prime, they'd go toe-to-toe with the Zerg army. They'd be a crucial, integral part of the Terran force. Now they have to, they're relegated to cleaning up creep. Feels bad, man. Back in my day, I was useful. And hey, we're gonna be able to get some drones. Let's go. A lot of drones, actually. We even have a nuke here in the center of the map as well as we zone away the army. As the Broodlords react and respond to these tanks, we do see Ryung pushing on forward. He's gaining ground. Tanks were not cleaned up. Nuke going to be taking down those spores. We have another nuke here on the front lines. And is that within range of the Viper? It looks like it was, but soO does pull back. Does pull back in time. Again, these nukes are just clearing up these creep tumors, creating room here for the Terran army. Another hatchery goes down. The Banshees laying siege upon the center base. They are going to be falling down as well. Tanks, the Banshees are all gone. Now it's all about the Thor Ghost. Let's go. Thor Ghost Viking, to be fair. Thor Ghost Viking. Another zoning nuke. God, how many brood? That's 19. 19 Broodlords, Bobby. What a brood. Got 4 infestors. I feel like the infestor count isn't high enough. I'm concerned about the infestors, not gonna lie. Another nuke on the way. Like one EMP, one solid EMP will cover everything here. So this is still on a knife's edge. Ryung rotating around, just throwing down nukes all over the place, taking some of these fringe bases, taking the gold and the right-hand side at the same time. Oh, no reaction. Drones are going to go down. Oh, and a lot of larva. Not the biggest nuke, but, you know, it did something. So making 3 nukes at a time. Ryung trying to recognize, trying to get a read on where the army is. soO purposely staying outside of range on it. Does stay out of range of that first scan, but the second will spot it. Ryung is going to be careful. Doesn't want to get caught out. Looking at the upgrades, Neural is done, so we can, of course, Neural those tanks. We can even go for a bit of a dark, and if we want to, we can even Neural the Ghost and EMP the Ghost. Depending on the positioning, of course. Do we have Burrow? We do. We do have Burrow. As we see again, Ryung just looking for an opening this entire time. Hatchery is on the way towards the bottom right. Has gone unscattered by Ryung. Another nuke on the way. Oof. Ryung does have to be careful here with his army movements. Nuke is going to go off and up. Oof. Does connect with those spores. At the same time, another nuke here in the center of the map as well. No reaction. These spores are going to go down as well. But the Broodlords have arrived. You do get a solid fungal on at least one of those Thors. The blinding clouds are real, and yes, he wants a fight. He wants to take it. Oh, EMPs did blanket those infestors. The infestors are now rendered useless, and now it's only the Broodlords. But there are so many Broodlords. Even without the support of spellcasters, they break on through. The ghosts go down, the Thors as well. This is the moment that soO was waiting for. He wants a snowball from here. Ryung is making 4 Thors at a time. He's even throwing down a zoning nuke as well. He's trying to stop the Zerg. He's trying to stop the Swarm. It's not going to be enough, though. The nuke is going to be cancelled. It should be cancelled. Up! Ooh, barely does graze the army. soO barely able to avoid it. The Thors have arrived. Where are the snipes? There are a couple of snipes coming in, but it's not going to be enough. Oh, or is it? Oh my god. Ryung barely holds on. He lost the base. So did soO. Both players are hurting. What's important is that even though soO got EMP'd, I believe he didn't lose oh no, never mind. I was gonna say I'm pretty sure he pulled back his infestors. He did not. So he did lose all of his infestors. He has one Viper left, which is definitely concerning. His Broodlord army heavily bruised. But the Queens are able to top them up with transfuses. Yeah, soO, he just wants to brute force his way through with just sheer numbers. Meanwhile, Ryung has remaxed. He has remaxed, but I don't know if you noticed, Ryung has a lot of Hellions. A lot of his supply are here in these Hellions. And they're not going to be a part of the main army. At least he's trying to go for some run-bys. Roaches do fend them off. There we go. As the Hellions do get cleaned up, we replace them with some ghosts. We only have 5 ghosts. The ghost count is not high at all. And with this amount of Broodlords, you need ghosts. Not gonna lie. Like, Thors are okay, but they're clunky, they're slow, they get in each other's way. They're not the most efficient army. So we are pushing into 23 Broodlords. We're trying to bust on through. Ghosts are falling left and right. Blinding clouds as well. And with the roach around, these Thors are doing nothing. They're stuck on each other. And soO, can he clean this up? He's losing all of his Broodlords. The roach army on the ground. Up, up. Barely getting on top of this. The Broodlords all go down. And it looks like Ryung has done it. Oh my god. Who needs spellcasters? soO does. Let's be real. The pure Broodlord army wasn't quite able to do it. And Ryung takes the series 2-1 and takes down soO. GG. Oh, GG, well played. 23 that was a lot of Broodlords. 23 Broodlords. But there's a reason why Broodlord and Infestor go hand in hand, and oh god. Yeah, trying to go toe-to-toe with all those Thors. Initially, it looked like it was okay with that Blinding Cloud and with the Surround as well. I thought that maybe soO would be able to hold on. But those Broodlords were being focused down so well by Ryung. They did just... yeah, they plummeted out of the sky. GG, well played. Ryung, he does it. He qualifies here for GSL over soO. Damn. I was not expecting that. I mean, to be fair, like, I know I try to praise Ryung as often as I can. I'm a bit of a Ryung fan. No bias, no bias. And I always talk about how well he does whenever he plays against Dark. Ugh. And here against soO, mech every game. Even though soO was able to rush into those Broodlords, yeah, he was kind of being starved out as well. If you recall, he was really having a hard time expanding and taking more bases. He had that one big moment where he took a fight and he was trying to force the issue. It was pretty all in. Alas, he wasn't able to break through. GG. Well played. Well played. Oh.